Okay, we are going to do exercise 213 now. If you have not read the question and tried to do the answer, you should do it now. Actually, don't do it just yet. Let's look at the instructions, then you can take a pause. So here they give you 4 different transactions. Now what they want at the bottom is for each transaction, determine which component of the conceptual framework, so qualitative characteristic, which is relevance or representational faithfulness, element, asset, liability, owner's equity, revenues, expenses, gains, loss, or principle, the 10 principles we went over, was violated, if any, and give the entry that should have been recorded if there was a violation. So now, if you haven't tried this question, please, it's so easy to watch me do it and talk our way through. So give it a try, see if you can get it, and then start the video again and you can follow with me as I go through it. Okay, so ordinary operating maintenance on equipment, so this is maintenance, was recorded as follows: equipment and accounts payable. And remember, we are Trim Corporation. So is that right? If we did maintenance on equipment, do we put it into equipment? No. We only put it into equipment if we improved it in somehow. So if we were talking a truck, if you did an oil change, that would be an expense. If you did an engine overhaul, that would go into the truck account. So instead, we should have debited maintenance expense or some kind of expense and credited accounts payable. So accounts payable was right. Put the principles here. The principles were the matching principle because we didn't match the expense to the right time period. And we messed with the equipment value, so that's historical cost. Those were violated. So those are the principles. All 4 of these are actually representational faithfulness. We'll actually talk more about relevance as we do the fair value chapters. Okay, how about the elements that were affected? The elements that were affected were expenses and equipment. So expenses and assets were the elements. So again, if you just wanted to try and see that one, see how it worked, that's great. Now pause the video and do the last 3 if you haven't had a chance to do so. And then come back and go. I'm just going to keep going. Okay, Trim received an advance on a custom order that will be shipped during the next accounting year. So they put cash. Well, did they get cash? Yes, so that's right. Should they have put it as revenue this year? What do you think? No, because the earning process isn't finished. That'll be done next year. So the entry should have been cash, which was right, and credit some kind of unearned revenue. And if you remember from last year, it's a liability. Now, the principles are revenue recognition. And the elements, unearned revenue and sales revenue. So that's revenue and liabilities. Any questions? Well, you can't ask me now, can you, since you're not there? But if you have questions on any of these, you guys, you know you can use the student discussion board. I'm going to put on exercise 213, part 3, what the heck was she talking about? Go ahead and ask that. Or you can email me, or you can come to the office hours that are starting next week on Tuesday. Okay, so number 3. Trim Corporation is holding inventory on consignment for Rubber Limited. Trim only pays Rubber when a sale is made. When Trim got the inventory, it did inventory and accounts payable. So, we talked briefly about consignment when we went through the notes. The person who receives the goods on consignment, so Trim received the goods, does not own them. So, can they record inventory? No. Inventory will be on Rubber. It stays on their books. It's just in a different location. It's at our store or warehouse. We also don't owe them anything until a sale's made, so we can't record accounts payable. So there's no entry. There are really no specific principles affected here, but the big thing is the elements. It's the definition of asset and liability. So definition, that's what that stands for, of asset and liability. Okay, does that make sense? And again, all of these are representational faithfulness because it's not portraying accurately what is on the statement. Relevance usually comes in when we're talking, should we use fair value or cost? Okay, so actually, oh no, I was thinking of the other question. Losing my mind, and it's only day 1. Okay, let's do the last one. On the last day of the accounting period, you did entries like this last year for sure. A 12-month insurance policy was purchased on the last day of the accounting period. The insurance coverage is for the next accounting year. So they debited insurance expense and credited cash. Now, is there anything wrong with cash? Well, no. We paid it out. It's okay. And it should be a credit, even though this should be moved over there. And this is a debit, obviously. Now, should we have expensed it? Nope. Do you remember what we should have debited? Prepaid insurance. That's when you buy anything in advance, and it's an asset. And credit cash. So the principal is matching, because again, you're matching the expense to the wrong period. And the elements, ran out of room here. What elements were affected by doing it wrong? Expenses and assets. Okay, so that's exercise 213, and it's another sample of a question that you could be given for this type of problem. The rest of the suggested problems and the Wiley Plus will have even more illustrations of how the questions can be asked. One thing I do want to point out, you can do the suggested problems on paper, like we did here, or I've also put them on Wiley Plus, just as problems or suggested. I can't remember what I called it. but it's not an assignment. So you can do it unlimited amounts of time, and it will give you the solution every time. You can learn it that way, or you can do it on paper, and the solutions are on Blackboard under each chapter. Okay, so with this chapter, again, you guys, you have to read it. Either read the text or read the PowerPoints thoroughly, more thoroughly than we did today. Go through them, look at what the notes I wrote, make sure that makes sense. Try these problems. If you haven't tried them and you just kind of watch the video, I really encourage you to go through and actually try the problems, then look at the video again or the solutions, because these solutions are also on Blackboard, because they're two of the suggested problems. But make sure you've at least tried them. Okay, that is it for chapter 2. I hope you guys made it through relatively unscathed, and I will see you again in chapter 4. We don't do chapter 3, so don't read it. We'll do chapter 4. Take care.